Let's talk about what we missed in movies. This one is going to be a doozy, and I'm going to take my time to walk this out. What if I told you that Cinderella was a black princess? When we begin to look at the word cinder, cinder is a type of ash. Let's get the actual definition of it. Cinder is a small piece of a partly burned coal. And when something is burnt, it is hot. It is black. The word hot or burnt in Hebrew is Ham. And Ham is the son of Noah. He is the father of Mizraim, which is Egypt. He is the father of Put, which are the ancient, some of the people that was in Libya. He is the father of Cush, which are your Darwinians and your Ethiopians and your Sabines who inhabited the southern Arabian Peninsula, your founders of the Indus Valley. These would also be seen amongst the Afar people, whom also leaped out of Ephor, the son of Abraham. Coal, we know, is already back. And it says, or wood, and when you burn wood, what color does it turn? That has stopped giving off flames, but still has a combustible matter in it. Now, I could break that down a whole bunch of ways, but I'm not. This word comes from the Latin word for sinis, sinis, meaning ashes. It becomes transliterated into the French cinder, into the German center, sinter, and the Old English cinder, which is sinder. This is birthed out of the Germanic. And so when we begin to see that this word is ashes, which is going to lead us back to the Hebraic term of Ephor, which I just stated. Ephor as the son of Abraham. His name means ashes. His name is Afar. The Afar people are known to be warriors. And this is where you get Africa from. And this is when the Scipio dude, the white dude, came into Africa and he fought against the Ifar people and defeated them. So he surnamed himself after them. He did not give Africa its name. Now we know that there's another original name. I'm giving you the Hebraic breakdown. The Arfar is also going to be because the Pher is how his name is spelled. We know that PH can be F and PH can be P. So the P, the PH, and the F are linguistically interchangeable. The E and the A are also interchangeable. So the Ephor or the Afer are also the Ipiru. And the Ipiru means dusty. And these is the name that was also meant the Hibiru or the Hebrews. And the Hibiru is the same root as Eber. And Eber is a descendant of Shem. And Shem name means Afro-Asiatic. And that's just dealing with the first part of her name. Names have meaning. We're going to walk this out, right? I know, things that we missed. Look at her stepmama, y'all. That's a mulatto woman. Look at the big noses on her stepsisters and the big old behinds. Like, what are we doing? That was like, y'all really, really, really thought that those were just undergarments in Europe? I'm a little under the weather, so excuse me if I cough. So we can also, let's get to see what does his name mean. Okay. So we gathered that, right? Her name, Cinder, clearly goes back to the Ephor. Woo, woo, woo. So let's go into Ella. Ella. And this is huge. The name Ella primarily means goddess. This is the Alf, which is the letter A, which would be the ox in Paleo Hebrew. The Lamad, which is going to be the shepherd's croak or the staff. And when you see the staff and the shepherd croaks in Egypt, these are not your native Egyptians. Shepherds are an abomination to Egyptians. So when you see these Egyptian quote-unquote gods or these Egyptian netters with shepherd's croak, these are the shepherds of the Hebrews. Kings are viewed as shepherds because they lead the people. Kings, priests, and prophets are the Benai Elohim, or the sons of God. They are viewed as the direct descendants or the representation, if not being the gods themselves in the earth realm. The Iman, according to the Arabic, which is the root of Emmanuel, meaning the power with us, or the visor that we begin to see, or the governor. When it begins to say that the government shall be up on his shoulder, the root is going to mean Maraha, meaning Egypt. So Egypt will be up on his shoulder. The visors in Egypt were the Hebrews. The governor in Egypt were the Hebrews. Joseph was a visor in Egypt. Ishmael was a visor when his mother returned him to Egypt. I can prove all of this. My descendant grandfather, Mayor Leonard Holliday, was a mayor, a visor, a governor in England in the 1500s while the Bible was being translated from the Latin into the English, because these people were ruling England. They had not spoken the ancient Hebraic dialect in its purest form in a long time, yet a lot of them held on to the remnants of it, which is why English still holds the Hebraic roots. Still holds it. Elat, this L is going to also be meaning learn or to teach. So the teachers hold the staffs. And we see these staff with the Akan of Judah. We see this staff in Great Britain. Why? Because Jacob stated that the scepter shall not depart from Judah, that a king shall never fail to sit on the throne through Judah. So if the Akan still has their rod and their kingship, and Britain still has its rod and its kingship, what should that tell us? I'm just asking, okay? Then we say the Hay, which is the 5 fingers of the Most High. The Hay can also be the Tav, because H can be TH and CH. And then it can be T. And so the Tav is the oath, the sign, or the symbol, or a marking for death, which is why Elah in Hebrew is goddess, would be Elat for goddess in Arabic, because these are brother and sister languages. Elah can also mean oak tree, terebinth tree, symbolizing strength and divinity through other interpretations. So when you begin to see Nicodemus sitting under the oak tree, he was identified by Yeshua as a prophet, because prophets sit under the oak tree to divine and to have celestial experiences with the owl, which is in the tree stump, which is the wisdom, the mother, the protection, whose wings we begin to hide on under, and the cup of abundance as quotes in Psalms 23 and 5, of which we begin to drink and partake. The Tav also means oath. So her name is the black goddess of the oak tree and the oath. That's what Cinderella means. Now let's continue. The word Ella goes back to connections in other cultures. In Germany, Ella means all. It's not all the root of Allah in Arabic. And the word Allah in Hebrew not only means oath, Allah also means to ascend and to go up. In French, the word Allah means little cinders. So the suffix of her name means the same thing as the prefix of her name. And the French is very important to us because we see that French, what is it, Paris, right? Out of Judah and Tamar came Zerah, which will give you your red hand of Ulster, in Ireland, which is the 5 fingers. And he began to have a twin by the name of Pharez, Pharez. We already denoted that the PH is also the P. So that would be Parez, Perez. So we know that the Z is also linguistically related to the S. That's Paris. Judah began to found Paris in the time of Judah and Tamar via his sons. And then after Yeshua began to die, may peace be upon him, his son, John Mark, his wife, Mary Magdalene, his father, Joseph of Arimathea, went into Egypt until 49 AD. To write and pen these Gnostic Gospels. They fled Egypt and went into Paris, France, with the Holy Grail. And I'm not even going to tell you what the Holy Grail was. In Greek, it means bright one or shining one. Lucifer. That's literally Hallel in Hebrew. And Hallel in Hebrew means praise, and that will be that HLL, which we would spell out as hell. And we've been in fear of hell when the root of hell in Hebrew literally means praise. It means to be cleansed, to be pure. So when you go and you see the meat that is halal, this is because the Islamic slaughtered it properly, because Yeshua came to tell us not to eat the meat because they were sacrificing it to demons unaware. So you see, just by her name alone, we've already proven that Cinderella was a black princess. Let's begin to see her blue dress. We know that the Hebrews are always represented by the color blue and by the color red. And when you mix blue, when you mix red, you get the color purple, that movie. And the ancient Phoenicians were called purple people alongside the Philistines. And you have the red lodge and the blue lodge, and then you also have your purple. And the violet flower is a representation of fertility and goes back to Mother Wisdom. And we've been taught that as an indication of royalty and ascension. And the color red goes into the rose, which is the purifier of the blood, and it's the flower that represents the constellation of Venus, which rules over the Alph, which is the bull, or the constellation of Taurus. So Venus comes from the god. So Venus is El. Come on, somebody. So when they begin to say that Lucifer is a demon, we can begin to say, wait a minute, what does the Bible begin to say? Although that's a Latin word. And we begin to see that the planet Venus also rules Libra, which is seen as the scales And it begins to say that Dan will be as a serpent leaping from Bashan. We will begin to see the serpent amongst the Fan or the Danites and the Don people and the Dahomey in West Africa, and they still have the serpent. We see the serpent following the Ifar people as the Darwinian in the Indus Valley. We see the serpent amongst the Nagas of the native Indians, and it's very essential to know that the Shebas and the Shebims in East Africa began to identify themselves as Negas, meaning king. So when we begin to look at the Nagas of the native Indians, they were viewed as half serpent, half human. And then we begin to follow the serpent into Ireland, where we already established that Zerah was the establishment of. You will see the tribe of Dan as the Danu, coming from Egypt into Spain to be the Gaelic, and then into Ireland as the tribe of Dan, with the serpent from the garden, who is the giver of knowledge. And the knowledge in Hebrew is going to be the word doth. And Yahweh does not want us to seek after that knowledge, because he said that it will lead us to death. But El Shaddai began to say, before I have set before you this open door. An open door isn't ajar, and you have the option to walk through it. Yeshua said, I am the door. No man comes through me. No man gets to the Father until he goes through me. And you have to accept the knowledge, or the doth, of life and death, of good and evil, so that the woe will not get you, because you'll be confused about life and death, good and evil. So when Cinderella began to cry out her tears and pour out her libations, she began to apply the Book of Psalms ritual, and her godmother came to rescue her and to elevate her to her rightful place. This is a message to black women everywhere. Do you hear what I'm saying?